Hi Jarmy, today is a very special episode because it is the huge Spring Ecosphere 1 year update. It was on the 2nd of June 2018 that I grabbed buckets full of water and also dirt. Then I started to build the Ecosphere. I planted both Vallisneria and Ambulia, which I first thought was Kabomba, but it turns out it was Ambulia. As it turned out, this ecosphere was full of life, the largest number of different species I have ever seen in an ecosphere. There were mayfly larvae, and this is also when the snails and the aquatic isopods, as well as the daphnia and copepods, were introduced, all very important players for the future of this ecosphere. The aquatic isopods immediately started breeding. Nematodes were also abundant in this early stage of the ecosphere. Water mites were present, daphnia were pregnant, and I filmed one of my favorite clips in Life in Jars history. On the 3rd of June 2018, I sealed the ecosphere off for good. And this is what it looked like at that time. This is what the closed ecosystem looked like after a week. Algae started to grow on the glass, and there were a lot of snail eggs. A new species had appeared in the ecosphere, hydra. This particular individual had eaten 3 ostracods, this one 4, this one none. The aquatic isopods seemed to be doing really well. So did the ostracods and copepods. Another new species also appeared, some sort of worm. Here you can see hydra reproduction right in front of your eyes. I made a video that focuses on this and I highly encourage you to watch it. Bladder snail. Leeches were new, and I hadn't seen clam shrimp before either. A month and a half in and the ecosphere looked like this. The Ambulia had grown a lot and were looking really healthy. The mayfly had hatched and died, and the side of the jar facing the window had grown a layer of almost white algae. It was around this time that the first planaria started to appear. Aquatic isopods still doing great. The Vallisneria, that hadn't been doing too well the first month, suddenly started to grow a lot and were doing really well. So now we're 4 months in. The Ambulia isn't doing too great anymore and the Vallisneria seem to have taken over. The most noticeable change concerning the animals in the ecosystem at this time was the explosion of the amount of planaria. The algae on the back side of the ecosphere had grown even more, and this was also the only place the ambulia still seemed healthy, and the snails were growing steadily in numbers. After 5 months, the Vallisneria had grown a lot, and the ambulia had almost disappeared. The amount of planaria kept growing. The ostracods were hard at work processing all the dead plants, and the bladder snails were being bladder snails. This is when I filmed one of the coolest shots for life in jars ever. 2 ostracods falling in a shed isopod exoskeleton, moving its legs. A lot of isopod babies were being born. And the hydra made a comeback. So, this is what it looked like on the first day, the first week, the first month and a half, 4 months, 5 months, and now a year. Yep, this is what it looked like after a whole year. As you can see, the Vallisneria are doing great, and there's hardly any sign of the ambulia. This is the backside. As you can see, there's a lot of string algae growing here. There's a lot of algae and dead plant material on the bottom, and the white algae on the glass sort of turned into flakes. A lot of the larger Vallisneria seem to have died on this side, probably because of the high light intensity. There are still aquatic isopods present in this closed ecosystem, which I think is really cool because they are a relatively large and complex species. It's amazing to think that they have survived for generations in a small contained ecosystem. The planaria are still there. Their population really hasn't changed ever since they started blooming. If you want to know more about planaria, I've made an entire video about them as well. Here you can really see how flat these flatworms are. Another species that never fails to amaze me is the bladder snail. They have proven time and time again that they are incredibly hardy. I haven't had a single ecosphere where they disappeared. And that includes my secret ecosphere, the size of a big apple you don't know about. If I had to pin down what the hardiest visible species in an ecosphere is, it would have to be the ostracods. They have not disappeared in any ecosphere, not even the mini ecosphere, and they're doing great in this jar as well. Here you can see them eating a dead Vallisneria plant. What's interesting is that on the backside, where a lot of the big Vallisneria plants are dying, there's also a lot of new Vallisneria plants growing. Vallisneria reproduce both sexually and asexually, but as far as I know, sexual reproduction is very rare in aquariums. The asexual reproduction is very clear in this ecosphere. When a plant is feeling good, it produces a runner, from which a daughter plant grows, which is essentially a clone. It has the exact same DNA as the mother plant. In a way, this plant you're seeing now is the same plant that my dad bought over 40 years ago. But clearly, conditions in this closed ecosystem are ideal for the Vallisneria. When I look back at this ecosphere, I realize that it's one of my favorites ever. And this series is my favorite series I made for life in jars. If you haven't already, I encourage you to watch the previous episodes as well. I obviously go into a lot more detail there. Every time an ecosphere reaches a year old, it happened a few times now, I'm just mind blown that animals and plants can live, thrive and reproduce in a closed ecosystem. An ecosystem that has no interaction with the ecosphere you and I live in, apart from energy in the form of heat, light and movement. That's just baffling. So to summarize, the spring ecosphere has seen a lot of changes, but it's still healthy and thriving after a whole year. I see no reason why it should fail. So if you want to see more updates and other projects, well, you're going to have to subscribe. Thank you for watching.